Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews in Washington. Donald Trump's problem isn't the people he's hired. It's the enemy in his own brain he hasn't been able to fire. All the talk this weekend about how he wants to stop the warring in the White House between nationalist Leninist Stephen Bannon and Trump embed Jared Kushner ignores the fact that this same fight is going on in Trump's own head. It's a battle between the bad boys who got him elected, Bannon in the lead, and the people starting with his family has to deal with now that he's president. The fight is real and isn't going to end no matter how many bury the hatchet meetings they hold. The fact is, as we've seen, even from the outside, there are three different parties all jockeying for power inside Trump's White House. The Nationalists, represented by Stephen Bannon. The Family Party, represented by Jared Kushner and others close to him. They are mostly New York business people and not very ideological. Then, not to be forgotten, there are the traditional Republicans, people like Chief of Staff Reince Priebus and, of course, Speaker Paul Ryan and most of the House Republicans. The Bannon and Kushner wings, however, are now in open dispute, and it's all playing out very publicly thanks to an abundance of leaks from inside the West Wing. Leaks that never stop, by the way. Today, Sean Spicer addressed those reports.
The reason the president's brought this team together is offer a diverse set of opinions. He doesn't want a monolithical kind of thought process going through the White House. He wants a diverse set of opinions. He is the decider. I think the president wants to have a series of ideas and thoughts put forward to him. That's how he's going to make the best opinion or best decision possible for this country.
Sure. When asked if President Trump was considering dumping Bannon, Spicer said the president is, quote, confident in the team he has.
He understands that we have some pretty smart, talented individuals who are opinionated on a lot of subjects, but that our battles and our policy differences need to be behind closed doors. We need to focus and ultimately all come out committed to advancing the president's agenda.
Well, keeping it behind closed doors is definitely not happening. Here's just some of what's come out in the past few days. NBC reported sources close to Bannon said he's not going anywhere. His message, Democrats will never run the White House. That's a reference to Jared Kushner, an economic advisor, Gary Cohn, who Bannon has called the West Wing Democrats. That's what he calls them. The New York Times reported, quote, no staff changes are imminent, but the president is considered in the White House as other power centers have grown. Politico quoted a White House official talking about Bannon's open revolt against Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Quote, for a Svengali, that doesn't seem like a smart thing to do. I don't think that ends well for him. And the Wall Street Journal reported the president's considering a major shakeup in the West Wing. Well, quote, two people close to the White House said Mr. Trump has been talking to confidants about Mr. Priebus's performance and has asked for names of possible replacements. Well, look out, Reince. Joining me right now, NBC's Kristen Welker, the New York Times' Nicholas Confessori, and USA Today's Susan Page. Well, somebody once said no one's ever late in this town for a hanging. We do enjoy it. There's a lot of schadenfreude. Kristen Welker, Bannon is Bannon. He will always be Bannon. Jared Kushner will always be the son-in-law, I guess, at least for a while. He's an embed, I think I got that right, in the Trump family. You can't get him out of there. He knows what they're thinking. He's one of them. Why would Trump break the nepotism rule of bringing, you're not supposed to bring family people in, bring them in and set them down in direct contradiction, in conflict, really, with his nationalist Leninist consigliere? That's just asking for trouble. And to me, it reflects the trouble inside Trump's brain. He can't decide whether he's a nationalist Leninist ideologue or he just wants to get damn reelected. Go ahead, you're thinking.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head that they reflect the two sides of President Trump's own thinking. Steve Bannon is a real touchstone to the base, the populist messages that helped to get President Trump elected. And by the way, that's why you see him digging in right now. He knows that his son-in-law, the president's son-in-law, can't get fired. At the same time, he sees his job as safe because he thinks he's the person who holds up a mirror to President Trump and reminds him of all of those campaign promises. On the other hand, I think that President Trump understands the necessity of having someone like a Jared Kushner to temper what a lot of people feel is a much more conservative populist message nationalist message, if you will, by Steve Bannon. So that's how this all works. In terms of where these tensions stand right now, Chris, it's really interesting. I think that they are facing that first 100-day mark. I think they're staring it down. They know that they want the headlines over the next several days and weeks to be positive, so that that big headline when he reaches that 100-day mark is positive. And I think that's why you're seeing all sides right now, at least publicly, tone it down a little bit. But I think you're also right. Steve Bannon's not going to change his views on a whole host of policy issues, and Jared Kushner isn't going to back down either. Chris?
So this reads like, I mean, I've done some study over the years of what it was like in the Japanese cabinet before Pearl Harbor. You had the gung-ho people that want to fight. They just want to fight. They're they're militarists. And others that say, this is crazy. Going to war with the United States is crazy. We're going to lose eventually. And I just think here, you've got Bannon who wants to fight. He calls himself a Leninist because he wants to destroy institutions. He doesn't believe in them. You got his son-in-law who looks the part. He looks like a prince. You know, he's been well tended to growing up. The other guy looks like a fighter. They really do look like what they are. And they're both in Trump's head. But I want to know what's going to blow. When they blow, what's it going to be like?
And, you know, the problem is it's not like just that they don't like each other. It's that they have different views on what the role of government ought to be, what they think Trump should, what policies he should pursue. And they also have different attitudes toward how you get to where you need to go. You know, Steve Bannon describes himself as a disruptor. That's what he wants to do. That's the kind of policy strategy he wants to follow.
Look at that guy.
Jared Kushner.
That guy looks like what he is. He looks like he wants to trade punches.
Jared Kushner is a guy who wants to work in the system. He's a smooth negotiator. They are different in every possible way, where they want to go and how they think they ought to get there.
Yeah, and then this guy Kushner looks like he's never had a hangover or a fist fight in the schoolyard. What do you think, Nick? I know you've had both, but I'm just guessing. Just kidding.
Well, look, I think Jared Kushner is where Trump is from, which is the world of finance and real estate in Manhattan high society. And Steve Bannon is where he got to, which is this nationalistic impulse in American politics. I think the main difference is that Bannon has a set of policy priorities, and Kushner has a role and turf. But it's very different, you know, because Kushner, I don't think is pursuing a particular discrete set of policies that you or I could describe or identify. I've not heard him talk a lot about specific policy issues that he's invested in. He's stretched so thin, and his job appears to be mostly to represent the president. But Bannon has a particular worldview and a set of issues he cares about on ISIS, on trade, on manufacturing. And there's a certain power in having that kind of focus, Chris.
Well, you dance with the one that brung you. Kristen, let me go back to you. The rule in politics has always been dance with the one that brung you. I mean, the people that got him elected were not, you know, Jared Kushner and Ivanka. They didn't bring him to the White House. What brought him to the White House was this nationalist fervor about losing industrial jobs, upset about illegal immigration, just against stupid wars, a trifecta of issues that grabbed the white middle class right in their gut. Why is he listening to Jared Kushner now? Is it just family? Why doesn't he listen to Bannon? Bannon's the bullet train that took him here.
Well, I think it's partially family. And remember, his other closest advisor is Ivanka Trump, his daughter. So I think he trusts Jared Kushner and Ivanka implicitly. I think he also trusts Steve Bannon, as you point out. His viewpoint is really what helped him get to the White House in the first place. And that's why I don't think a Bannon ouster is necessarily imminent. I think that the president is likely taking a hard look at his entire staff right now. But what we also know is that Steve Bannon's role seems to be limited to some extent. Of course, he was taken off of the National Security Council, whereas we see Jared Kushner's role expanding. He's been given new duties, and of course he was in Iraq just last week, kind of assessing the situation on the ground. So what it seems to be, if you read the tea leaves, is that the president is taking a hard look at his entire team and assessing if they're in the right places, and if it makes sense to have these two squaring off on a whole host of policy issues all of the time. But I can tell you, Steve Bannon isn't backing down from this. And if you talk to folks who are close to him, he thinks he's winning this fight. And as you point out, Chris,
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.